This is the final presentation for Edtc6332 by Marisela Ramirez, University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, with instructor Dr. Sam Pan. Let's go back in time and take a look at some office supplies that have a connection to my Project 2 design document and instructional solution. First, there was a product by the name of paper, which was invented in ancient China around 100 BC. Although other products had been used for writing, lightweight paper was easier to use and produce. For all the benefits that paper brought with it, there was at least one problem created by the invention and use of paper. That problem was paper clutter. The more paper was used, the more piles and piles of papers that were needing organization. In an attempt to solve this issue, some other inventions came to be. One of those happened to have been the hole punch. The hole punch was invented in 1886 by a German inventor who also invented the three-ring binder. The combination of these inventions, along with the actions of classroom teachers, led to the use of portfolios. Portfolios can hold a physical collection of documents that were created by students. In the past, as well as in the present, portfolio binders are used as the storage device to hold the collection of all the students' work. There is an alternative. That alternative is an electronic portfolio, also called e-portfolio or digital portfolio or online portfolio. It serves the same purpose as the binder, except that it is housed on the web. One would think that with the available technology in most schools today, that e-portfolios would be in use in every classroom. That is not the case. A survey conducted at my school district showed that most classrooms are not using electronic portfolios. And a main cause of this was the teacher's lack of knowledge as to how to create an electronic portfolio. Before students are taught how to use electronic portfolios, teachers will have to be taught to use them as well, because teachers cannot teach what they do not know. This became the ultimate goal of my project. The goal of this asynchronous instructional unit that I created was for 26 Donna ISD Migrant Education Options teachers to create an electronic portfolio on pbworks.com. What has been accomplished in this course project has been a design document which was utilized as the blueprint for creating an asynchronous online training on how to create an electronic portfolio. The instructional system design model that was used was that by Dick and Carey. That was followed in order to complete the parts of the design document. An analysis of subordinate skills showed that there were 3 terminal objectives, each one having their own enabling objectives, which laid out the framework of the instructional solution. There were performance objectives that were listed and the assessment instruments that were created as well. but of interest would be the formative evaluation. The first of the formative assessments was a small group assessment. The volunteers had been scheduled to perform this activity or training. However, both volunteers were not present on the scheduled date. Therefore, this part had to be rescheduled, which set everything back by at least 1 week. The pilot test then was rescheduled and also set back a week. It made it very difficult to not stress about meeting the deadline for the submission of the design document for the course. But the results did come in, and this part was completed. The suggestions and the recommendations that were made by the volunteers were taken into consideration, and corrections were made to document and training solution. The instructional solution is housed at meoeportfolio.weebly.com. This is the landing page of the training site. It includes a Start Here button, a Module 1 button, a Module 2 button, a Module 3, a Training Manual button, and a Contact button. The Start Here button provides an information page, a Continue button at the end of it, so that the user knows to click on that particular button and it will take them directly to Module 1. The modules each have their enabling objectives listed, and once they read them, if they choose to, they can click on the Continue button on that page, which will in turn lead them to the training video. Once the video is complete, they will be taken to the Module 1 assessment page, where they will find the Click Here for Module 1 assessment, which takes them to the Socrative or Socrative.com site, where their assessments are located. Once they've completed their assessment, they can log out of that page and come back and continue the process by clicking on Module 2, which repeats. There will be a page for the enabling objectives and a video with video instructions. The second and the third video are actually both interactive videos. A Continue button leading the learner to the assessment page at Socrative.com, and eventually it will bring them back to the site where they will click in to make it or go to Module 3. The training site also provides a training manual, which can be downloaded prior to starting the actual training, and which could be used to or for reading prior to the online training. This document was also a component that was not part of the original design document, but it was a decision that was made with the stakeholders, that it would make it easier for the trainers. It may seem ironic that the instructional solution is about creating an e-portfolio on PBWorks, but the instructional solution itself is housed at Weebly.com. The rationale for this is that the Weebly.com site was more aesthetically pleasing to the learner, and it allows for a very simplistic sequencing of learning events. This project has provided me with several lessons that I've learned. The first lesson came about because I had one particular design in mind, or one particular project in mind, an instructional solution. And the stakeholders did not approve of that particular instructional solution. So I had to have a plan B. I had to have a second instructional solution to work on. So you always have to have a plan B. Clarity of instructional model is also important. As I was writing my design document, I realized that at some point I started to combine the parts of the different instructional system design models. I was combining Branch and Dick and Carey. For whatever reason, I started to intertwine them and then had to go back and actually look at the specific components that I needed to do and have a clear path. It made it much easier once I actually focused on the one. Time management is also crucial on any project. This one in particular for me was difficult in that although there were deadlines that were set and there were specific times and dates that I was going to do certain things that or had a commitment or an appointment with stakeholders or volunteers, those didn't always pan out. And as a result, if your time management isn't calculated correctly or down to a T, then your project is in danger of not being completed by a specific date. Stakeholder management is also something that I have learned that you must control. You must have stakeholder management. Stakeholders can sometimes put the project in jeopardy simply because of the desires or the wishes that they have in order to change or upgrade or add to or take away from the original plan that was set out. So sometimes being firm and sometimes using the word no is a good thing. And always remember that when we are working with people that are volunteers, you may not always have the volunteer come through with the commitment that they've made for you, which would lead you right back to the first lesson of, if that's the case, then you've got to have a plan B. To what degree is the identified human performance problem solved? Well, for me, for this particular training, there were 6 of the 26 MEO teachers that are to be trained using this instructional solution. Those 6 have already been involved in the formative evaluations, and as a result, they have actually already gone through the training. So at present, I would have to say that 23% of the identified human performance problem is solved. This training initially, again, stakeholder move or change, was to be completed by the teachers in December prior to leaving for Christmas break.